Once upon a time, there was a small consortium of math wizards who ruled over the teaching of math in a glorious faraway land. When the Grand Wizard died, he left his flock of 17 unicorns to his 3 most trusted vice wizards. But he left these with very specific instructions about how they were to be divided up. To the first vice wizard, he left 1/2 of these unicorns. To the second vice wizard, he left 1/3 of his unicorns. And to the third vice wizard, he left 1/9 of his unicorns. So being extremely well trained in collaborative problem solving, the 3 vice wizards were not too tossed away. They strapped on their problem solving hats, they did a little think, pair, share, they made a diagram in the middle of their table, but very quickly things devolved into a rather tense negotiation. Things became ugly really, really quickly. So when they came to the end of all that they knew, they could only agree on one thing, and that was that they were going to need to travel into the forest to consult with the healer who lived in a hut in the deepest, darkest part of the woods. It took them a whole day's journey to get there, but when they arrived, they explained their situation to the healer, they showed her their diagram, they explained all the different strategies that they had tried, and they basically asked for help. And when they were done, the healer said, well, I'm going to need some time to think about your situation here. I'm going to think about it overnight, and I'll give you my answer in the morning. So the 3 little vice wizards slept rather fitfully that night, and in the morning they returned to the healer's hut. She told them, you know, I've given your problem a lot of thought, and to be honest, I'm not sure if I can help you. The only thing I could think of was, well, if you want, you can have my unicorn. All of a sudden, everything worked. The first vice wizard took her share. 1/2 of 18 is 9. The second vice wizard took his third. 1/3 of 18 is 6. Thank you. The third vice wizard took his 9th. 1/9 of 18 is 2. They had 1 unicorn left over, and they gave that back to the healer. What I like about this story is that I think it gives us some perspective on how our students' entanglements with a fixed mindset interfere with their ability to have a present moment awareness of their own mathematical experiences. The problem isn't that they've never heard of a growth mindset. The problem is that they're so identified with their fixed mindset ideas and their defense mechanisms that they've lost track of whether they're having a reaction to some situation or whether it's actually their self. So this, Dan, is your cat picture. This is our students' struggle, right? I mean, they don't understand what it is that is self and what is other, what is just reaction. So, So one key to dealing with this with helping them toward a growth mindset is to scaffold some disidentification practices that can help them to notice, because noticing what's going on and how you're identified with what's going on can really slow them down and shift the energy. And this is really the power of this. So for me, this has had a huge impact on my teaching practice and on my classes this year. And it's why I've started incorporating Neil Mercer's work on exploratory talk into all of my group work. Who's Neil Mercer? I'm so glad you asked. If you've read any of Malcolm Swann's work, there's only one person that Malcolm Swann cites more than himself, and that's actually Neil Mercer, who is a professor of educational psychology at the University of Cambridge. And he and his group are doing this just amazing work on exploratory talk and talking points and all the ways in which, by cultivating this culture of exploratory talk in our classroom, we can actually scaffold students' ability to experience, to have mathematical experience, to notice what they're experiencing in the moment, and to really process it. So this is my enthusiastic plug for talking points and exploratory talk, and for all of the disidentification practices that Neil Mercer and Douglas Barnes and Lynn Dawes have communicated. So thank you.